Alexa, open Ridge Radio.
Good evening, everybody. You are listening to B on Ridge Radio, and I have a special guest. I have Matt Sofianos with me today. Say hello, Matt.
How are you doing, B? Very exciting to be here with you.
I was like, that was majorly delayed. I was like, say hello, Matt. And
timing's everything.
Yeah, well, I actually didn't think you were going to come today because you were being a doting husband.
I was, but I'm not now.
For your missus.
I was, yes.
Your beautiful missus.
Yes, so a shout out to Lou, who's just chilling out on the sofa at home. We had a bit of an interesting day. Looked like, potentially a bit of a health event, but it turned out that it wasn't, and everything's good. And so it's now...
was it you?
Was it me?
Was
I the health
stress?
event?
No, were you just causing the stress?
Well, I would say that's probably part of it, yeah.
When we first told her that we was coming on the air, did she think, oh, goodness, you two together on the air?
I think she's just happy not to be in the room with us.
Yeah. My husband said, are you sure you want to give him the microphone?
Yeah. So just to put that in context, B and I have a long history of playing live music together.
We do.
And I think early on in our career, B decided that she should impose a lifetime ban.
Confiscate the microphone.
Confiscate the microphone. Do not let me near it. And here we are.
You have a microphone
on your live show, and you've given me a microphone. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, I did think about this, and I thought it's okay-ish because it's after 9 p.m. So, So
I'll do my best. I'm working hard here. I really am.
Matt is my big brother, basically. A lot of people confuse him as my dad because I look so young. Which I'm okay with that too.
I'm okay with that too. That's fine. That's okay.
Right, so you have actually selected a load of songs, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right.
And one of them that you've selected to play is called Numbers. Okay, and it's by Kraftwerk. Okay. Could you explain to me why you came up with this song? Because I listened to it, okay, and I was like, what is that? Why would he pick that of all the beautiful songs out there? Not saying that this isn't beautiful.
No, but there are other songs that...
It's very different.
Yeah, okay. Well, for a start, it was the fifth one that I chose. Okay. And I thought, okay, well, it can't be more of the same. But Numbers is probably, for me, it's the most... essential Kraftwerk piece of music. So they've had some chart success, so people know things like The Model and God knows what else. But the interesting story about Numbers is that accidentally that birthed hip hop. I mean, it's not the only thing that birthed hip hop. I know you're looking at me as if to say,
just like what?
No, honestly, just hear me out.
Okay, I'm listening.
Back me up on this.
Okay.
So, if you listen to
they could judge because they're going to hear it.
They're going to hear it. Okay.
So they're going to be like.
Well, the thing is that Kraftwerk are a lot older than people think.
Okay.
They started off as an experimental, avant-garde band in the 70s. And so, there is some stuff on YouTube out there, very, very early Kraftwerk. It's unrecognizable. So this kind of robotic, computer music sound, which they became famous for, was sampled by somebody called Afrika Bambaataa. Anybody who's a hip-hop history buff will, recognize that name. So he was, one of the first DJs out there, etc., etc., etc. And so he sampled the drums and sampled another keyboard bit of another song, and that became a song called Planet Rock, which has become, one of the classic hip-hop songs. So, Kraftwerk are aware of this, and because it's very, very early in the whole sampling era of music, you didn't have any sort of legal protections or anything like that. So they kind of appreciate that he did it, but at the same time they kind of feel that he robbed them. They recognize that they indirectly birthed hip-hop, also not particularly happy about it because they worked really hard on the song, and then somebody else sort of made it into something, famous. But I like it. I play that album a lot in the car.
Yeah. Not when I've been there, you haven't.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
You had a lot to say about this song.
I've had a lot to say about it.
I was quite surprised.
Song.
I thought it was just going to be a brief, I liked it once when I heard it.
You know me better than that. Right, we've got a few other songs to get through.
Okay, yeah. So I picked this one because I thought, insanely, I just thought, why? So you guys can listen to it now. Let me know what you think. You can always send me a WhatsApp message, 07769978611. Numbers.
Welcome to Ridge Radio, playing the best of local and worldwide music.
Okay, so accidentally,
Yeah.
I played the next song straight after,
That's okay.
didn't I?
That's okay. I
So
think it blended very well.
I thought it really did too. Your numbers one
Yeah.
kind of almost just stopped and played on to the next one.
You know, these
It
things
was
happen.
insane.
These things happen.
It's a good blend, but yeah, interesting is probably the way that I would explain numbers.
Don't get me started.
Interesting. And then we went on to Clap Hands.
We did.
And you like that song. I could tell you were
I
really
did.
vibing.
That's why I asked you to play it.
Yeah.
Tom Waits. Want me to talk about Tom Waits?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good one.
I'm
But he sounds like Igor, like when he's singing.
So yeah, this is so Tom Waits has been going since the 70s again. A lot of the stuff that I've chosen starts off with the 70s.
Yeah.
So this is really Tom Waits version 2. So he started off as a kind of crooner, bit hippie-ish, bit Californian, and he's always changing. So this is his kind of, this is an album that follows something called Blue Valentine, which is the first record of his that I heard. And that's the record that got me started on jazz guitar. So it's very jazzy, it's very spooky. There's nowhere near
kind of cool, vibey. Yeah.
It's nowhere near as spooky as this stuff. This is the stuff that followed. So it's kind of, post-Depression era America, but it's also Harlem in the 40s, Louisiana in the 40s. You kind of expect skeletons to be, rising up out of the pavement and, voodoo and God knows what, and sailors with flick knives. It's just very dark, but it's very American as well. So he's kind of telling a story of the kind of seething underbelly of America, but in a very romantic way. And he's also a brilliant composer. So that's one song. It would be wrong if you thought all of his songs sound like that. But that's just one that really sort of sums up that kind of spookiness. And I think the best way another way to think about it is, I don't know how many people have seen the film Angel Heart, but I recommend it.
Probably too young.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay.
But Angel Heart it's nothing to do with Tom Waits, but that is a film that kind of represents that spooky, kind of unseemly world where sort of spooky, dangerous things happen. But around this time, Tom Waits, who happened to be the son of teachers, so he's not he's somebody who really has kind of been a method actor all his life. So around that time he was living in hotels in really seedy places. He was an alcoholic, or at least a hell of a drinker. So he kind of inhabited that role that he wanted to represent through his songs. So he spent time hanging around all of these sort of dives to gain references for the material that would end up in his music.
Ooh.
And so that album is called Rain Dogs. So I think anybody who's curious about this, and I get that you might not be, but anybody who's curious about this, I
want to hear more.
If you want to hear more, there's an album called Rain Dogs. There's an album called Swordfish Trombones, and then the one that slightly predates that, but it's still got that kind of voice, is Blue Valentine.
Okay. Yeah. Good, strong names.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
I had nothing to do with those names.
Something that you mentioned there, obviously being a musician, and then obviously we said about you being, we was in a band together, still are, kind of, if something pops up, then we would probably give it a bash.
We'll do it again.
And yeah, exactly. But yeah, you said there that you're a musician. You've been playing guitar for like ever. When did you start learning how to play the guitar?
I think it was in the womb.
In the womb?
I think, possibly.
Okay. Yeah. What kind of guitar was that?
I don't have that one anymore. But no, I started playing guitar when I was 9.
It was 9. Oh, okay. I thought it was younger than that.
Well, it's not, but I obsessed. I absolutely locked into the guitar around about the age of sort of 7 or 8. And this is sort of the mid to late 70s. And so what was interesting about that...
Don't give away your age. Don't give away your age.
No, it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
Well,
he's rocking it. It's fine.
If people are going to mistake me for your father...
Good point.
It's already out there. But
it's only because I tell them, but it's not because they've guessed it.
No, wouldn't guess it. But I mean, the late 70s, you had bands like The Police, you had bands like Queen, so you had very, very scholarly musicians, but that's against a backdrop of. Oh, you also had Blondie as well. Blondie was sort of artists and God knows what else. But you also had this kind of post-punk era. So the people who were in the chart bands of the sort of 78, 79, 3 or 4 years previous to that, they would have been in punk bands. So basically, they were sort of they created something called New Wave, which was the post-punk era. So on the one hand, you had very, very scholarly guitar players doing pretty clever stuff, and then you had this really, rough-edged, high-energy, aggressive thing, and that to me just all became one sound in my head. So that's what I wanted to do. I've never really been able to fathom it, but from the age of about 8, I knew that guitars were a big deal.
Well, you're an exceptional guitarist.
Oh, stop it, you.
And you are learning how to play the violin too, aren't you?
I am learning to play the violin, and so I'm going to.
And you teach.
I do teach. Well, yes, I do teach. I do all these things.
It's like very talented.
Well, someone's got to do it. Well, to be honest with you, the best way to be good at being a musician is to be absolutely appalling at everything else in life. And I've nailed this.
Okay. Give me some examples. No, don't.
No, you don't want this. No.
Okay, right. Well, we'll talk more about your guitaring skills and your teaching in a moment. Maybe just tell me about the next song that I'm going to play, which is actually California.
Oh, Joni Mitchell.
I do like Joni Mitchell. Yeah. I mean, it kind of made me think. I think I ended up squeezing in another one that I personally like later down the line, because I was just like, I like Joni Mitchell.
Oh, yeah.
Going on Voices and that's real grasping that stripping back and hearing the vocal.
Well, again, Tom Waits represents a certain stream of Americana, and Joni Mitchell, at least in this era, does. So what I love about California is that when I hear it, I can feel that the Californian sun on my skin. She's able to create that world for you to immerse yourself in. It's very playful. Her voice almost has a childlike quality, and of course, Joni Mitchell's voice changes over the decades.
Yeah, I've noticed. Yeah,
but this is her at her most fresh.
Okay,
and again, it's from the album Blue, which I wouldn't like to say to anyone if they said, well, I want to learn, I want one Joni Mitchell record, which one should it be? Because there's just too many. But it could be Blue. You get a complete experience of listening to Joni Mitchell. And on the one hand, there's some really, quite almost dark stuff in there. But it's the playfulness of this album. It's the lyrics and the subject matter is not naive, but she brings a kind of naivety to it because her voice is just so young and fresh, and it's gorgeous. It's young Joni Mitchell. Who doesn't
beautiful.
have that? It's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to play that one.
Yeah.
And we'll come back afterwards.
Install Ridge Radio on your smart speaker and listen anytime. Just say, Alexa, open Ridge Radio.
Well, that was beautiful. She does sound quite young.
Yeah, she does.
Her voice is unaffected. Because there's some songs that I've heard her sing, and I immediately asked you, does she smoke?
Yeah.
So,
yes is the answer to that question.
Someone told me once that Julie Andrews smoked.
That's possible, but she's had some sort of surgical procedure.
What, Julie
that's
Andrews?
Not gone well.
Really?
Yeah. So she doesn't have that anymore.
She's someone that I've always admired. Vocally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that was beautiful. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We need to touch back on what we was just talking about a second ago. It's about your teachings, because you're learning the violin.
You make me sound like some sort of Zen master.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's just some serious talent there, and you're kind of paying it forward to people.
That's
and
true.
Inspiring them into music.
Okay.
Industry.
Well, I will talk about that then. I mean,
you've got quite a lot of students, haven't you?
I do have a lot of students. I could always have more. I'm just going to put that one out there.
My number is 555.
So, the guitar is not the only instrument that I play, but it is the instrument through which I've learned everything. Mm-hmm. And it's, most people want me to teach them guitar. I have a number of bass students, I have some violin students, but the guitar is the one. And it just seems that the guitar's never gone away, I mean, it was super popular when I was a kid. So the first bands that I encountered were guitar bands. And guitar music per se goes in and out of fashion, but there seems to be a never-ending supply of people who want to learn. So, I have...
Me as one of them.
Huh?
Me as one of them.
Well, yeah, that's true. You need to get... you need to come back over.
Dust him off and start him again. Don't you worry.
Well, it's gonna. Yeah,
we'll get back on that.
We'll get back on
it. We pick it up. We put it down. We pick it up. We put it.
That's how it works. But there are young students who really want to play. There is actually a new era. There's a couple of things that are going on. If you're a technical guitarist and you're really into virtuosity, and you pay any attention to social media, you'll see that this is the age of the female virtuoso. There's no question about that. There are lots of young women who are playing, and it's terrific to see. You didn't see that when I was young, but equally there are young people who are. Well, from my perspective, I've seen a couple of eras of guitar playing. So I was there at the late 80s, early 90s when everybody was into sort of shredding, and it was the post Eddie Van Halen era. And then in 20 years after that, you had everybody wanting to play acoustic guitars and doing all sorts of extended technique. Yeah. Now you have something new. Jazz is cool again, but people are calling it new soul. And you've got bands like Snarky Puppy, who, even those guys have started to get their grey hairs. But you've got a lot of sort of young people coming up, and they're really studying music. And one of the things that I noticed was I wanted to play whether it was cool or not. So there'd be times when, I'd have people basically saying, well, why are you doing all that kind of stuff? Surely the guitar is about posing and playing a couple of chords and looking good. Whereas to me, there's more to it than that.
Oh, man, you would complicate everything.
I would, yeah.
You're a finger picker guitarist.
Careful.
Yeah.
But,
okay,
so I've always been attracted to the scholarship of music. Yeah. And that's brought me to some very interesting people, yourself included, and at the moment, I haven't long put a new act together with, two other violinists, and I am going to name check them. So one is Maria Lukova, who is my classical music teacher and mentor, and the other is Namaste Lokri, who is somebody I knew from a previous life, and we've sort of recently got back into each other's orbits, and the three of us are making a lot of interesting music now.
I had the pleasure of actually watching you guys.
So you did?
You did. That was amazing. And you had lots of talented students there.
Yeah, but this is the thing, there's a lot going on, with the teenagers and with the kids. That if you pay attention to commercial music and what people are doing, with the big labels, that's only part of the story. It seems to me that there are always going to be people who want to play instruments, and so it's great when somebody young comes to me and says, right, I want to play like whoever. Most recently it's been Tom Misch. I didn't know who Tom Misch was, and I know now, and that's because of a young student.
And is he good?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. So there's an interest in scholarship. You're always going to get people who want to play, forgive me, Wonderwall. You're always going to want people who want to bash a couple of chords, and that's fine, and I get it, and the guitar is for that. But the guitar can also be, an instrument for really sort of studying music and getting under the bonnet with it. And I've been doing that all my life, and there have been eras when nobody's been interested in it in the slightest, and yet now we've got at least two generations of youngsters who are seriously into it. It's great.
Yeah. Ah, there you go. When I was watching your show the other day, I say the other day, it was the other week, was it?
Last weekend.
It was.
It seems like a long time ago. Was it last weekend?
I thought that there was some serious, I know we can't name names, but one girl in particular played the piano and sang.
Oh, yeah.
And I did have to stand up, and I had to stand up because everybody's heads were all in the way.
Yeah.
And I had to stand up and have a look on who was singing, and her voice was beautiful. Yeah. Can you say how old she was? Yeah.
12.
She was 12. Yeah, she is 12.
So that's Namaste's daughter.
Yeah.
So
yes, she was brilliant. brilliant.
Yeah, she was good. We she's got a future.
Yeah,
in music for
I'll
sure.
say, yeah. I mean, she had a great tone. She had a very mature tone for a 12-year-old. So you think. I mean, I know for a fact that when I first started singing, my voice wasn't what it is now. So you think if her voice is starting at that, what is it going to become?
Yeah,
she's just going to build on it. She's going to learn her her vocals. She's going to get way more comfortable with playing the piano and singing at the same time. She was already brilliant in my eyes. If she stays at it, it's just going to be.
Yeah,
so it must be really rewarding.
One for us to watch for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, but you get really good rewards from teaching.
I do, yeah. I mean, I worked for years in, corporate jobs. I worked for a corporate bank for quite a long time. And I think whenever I was talking to somebody who perhaps worked for charity or worked for the NHS, I got this strong feeling that this person actually is doing something that's worthwhile and is making a difference. I'm not. Really, yes, I'm doing something that matters to the organisation that I'm working with, but I don't really,
You wanted to kind of,
it's not really much.
You did change it up quite a bit, didn't you?
A little, yeah. But doing this,
it suits you.
Yeah, I mean, it's as you called it, paying it forward. The guitar's been very good to me, and it's it. You don't necessarily. There's not just one mode of having success with music. You can live an ordinary life, work an ordinary job, but music can still be something that gives you a great deal of meaning, and you share that with other people. It's important because it's part of community life.
Yeah.
So my view is that I'm actually doing something. It's a very small way, but I feel as though I'm making a contribution to the communities around me. I never felt like that when I was commuting into London and going into a swanky building.
Yeah. There you go. So we are going to play Are You Experienced? Are you experienced? Very.
No,
you're extremely experienced.
In some ways, surprisingly inexperienced. Are You Experienced is the title track of, I think, Jimi Hendrix's first studio album.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, which one do you pick? There were 3 albums. Which one do you pick?
Is there only 3?
Well, there's a few. There are a few studio albums that he did while he was alive.
I was
There's a
say,
posthumous one. There's live albums, lots of those.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah.
But studio albums that were sort of completed, projects, only a few. And I Experienced is, going back to, age 17, when I first heard it, blew my mind.
Really?
Because, I was into Hendrix, I was into that kind of playing, I was trying to learn to do it. But Are You Experienced, the track, is what I would consider to be a truly psychedelic sound. There are lots of bands today that are calling themselves psychedelic, and what they're referring to is the floral nature of their clothing. There's nothing psychedelic about the sound. Okay, it's after 9 o'clock, so I think we're okay to talk about music and the role of mind-altering substances in the music of the 60s and 70s. And Are You Experienced puts you into a strange place, and that's psychedelia. Psychedelia is to me, music that just makes you feel a bit odd.
Yeah.
And that can be euphoric, and it can also be not your taste. But, people were very much experimenting with, altered states of consciousness. And the music, this particular piece of music, with the studio techniques, the backward guitar, lots and lots of layers. It's quite a disorientating thing to listen to when you play it loud. But at the same time, there's something beautiful and euphoric about it. So, this to me is what psychedelia is.
Okay. Right. Well, we'll have a listen.
Playing the best of local and worldwide music.
That's very cool. Okay, I can see what you mean about the psychedelic side of things there.
Yeah.
That's good. It's very good.
Well, I like it.
Obviously, you like it. We were just having a look at all the songs that we have left to play. I cannot believe where the time has gone. I'm not even sure I'm going to have time to play everything that we have planned to play. So, so I might move on quickly to your next one, which is Police, Walking on the Moon. Okay, yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I basically put together a list of, you picked the artist, and I was like, okay, well, I quite like this one, and you've picked Walking on the Moon. Why did you pick that one?
It's that guitar sound.
Oh, really?
There's nothing more Andy Summers than that guitar sound. So Andy Summers, well, the Police are an interesting band, obviously.
Yeah, very cool.
All of them pretty experienced musicians when they got together. Didn't sound like anybody before them. And in fairness, nobody's really dared to copy them. Can't say that about some other bands. So, U2 had a unique sound, and they spawned a few bands that sound a bit like them. Coldplay, yeah, fairly unique sound. There's lots of sub-Coldplay bands out there.
Do you quite like bands, or do you prefer solo artists, or do you a mixture of everything, don't you?
Mixture, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so random going in a car with you, driving, because 1 minute we could be listening to one thing, and then the next minute it's something so different. Yeah. And I have to say that when we've performed together as well, when we was doing the set list and stuff like that, you would suggest songs, and I'd be like, "How about no?"
Yeah,
because I'd just be like, they're so sort of weird. I was like, it's just not me. And you'd be like, no, hear me out. We could do it like. And I was like, yeah, it just doesn't feel like my vibe.
I'll tell you for the reason for this. When I got to about 18, I just felt quite hemmed in by the lack of knowledge that I had about music. I knew there was stuff out there that was much more interesting. There were guitar players like Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, and I'd listened to sort of Hendrix and etc. And I only knew a few things, and I couldn't break out of it. Now I wasn't going to start reading music until much later in life, much later. So I thought, well, how am I going to learn? So I need to listen to everything. Yeah. And actually, a friend of mine I spent a summer jamming with, who was a good guitar player, said to me a few things. Listen to jazz, because there's nothing that jazz musicians don't understand about harmony and about music. Listen to Frank Zappa for the same reason. And I think that kind of just triggered a kind of a thirst for just input. I wanted to listen to everything, Yeah, and I think that's it. So that's the reason why I come up with these sort of, crazy...
randoms.
Yeah, randoms that don't seem to be connected to what we were doing.
Aren't you seeing someone, one of your...
Yeah.
You're seeing someone soon.
Oh, yes.
Who is that one again?
Well, it's Joe Satriani and Steve Vai this Saturday.
Okay, so you said Satriani, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's the one that you're going to.
Well, I
are you going to try and meet him?
I bit the bullet, and I went for the VIP ticket.
Oh.
So I get to meet them before the concert on Saturday.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's going to be... I just don't know how that's going to go. I mean, I'm going to have to really...
Are you going to be like...
Probably, yes. Probably. I mean...
My name is Jeff.
Well, these are the people who really sort of lit a fire underneath me when I was around about that age. I started listening to stuff that it just occurred to me. Nobody told me to do this, but it occurred to me. Listen to stuff that you don't understand. Yeah. Because if you listen to it enough times, you'll start to.
Oh, okay.
And so I used to listen to these records and think, that's fantastic. I have no idea what these guys are doing. A couple of years later, it started to make sense. And now I'm teaching it, So
wow.
It's interesting to have absolutely idolized these guys.
Yeah.
They're about 10 to 15 years older than me. So we're all older guys now,
Older guys.
So it's nice to sort of have come full circle.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm going to say to them, oh, guess what? I'm a guitar teacher. That's not going to impress them. But it's just
try.
Well, I don't think it's I don't think trying to impress Steve Vai and Joe Satriani is a good idea. But it would be nice just to meet them.
Yeah.
And maybe not even
you got to get a picture, right?
I'll get a
oh, yeah.
That's part of the deal.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to be well advised for me to say, oh, do you know how important you were to me as I was growing? Because they hear that all the time. But it might just be nice to sort of, shake their hand.
Say, I love you.
I love you.
It works. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we could be really good friends.
I think, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. So
we got a little bit off topic from talking about the police.
Yeah. So
walking in the moon.
Yeah, walking on the moon. So there we go. So seamlessly back to the police.
Yeah.
Seamlessly back to walking on the moon.
Perfection that was. Okay, so I'm going to play this one now.
Please turn my microphone off.
No, you're doing fantastically. It's too good. It's like gold. Here we go. Let's have Walking on the Moon.
Yeah.
worldwide music.
There we go. Some Police. Enjoyed that?
I did.
You looked a little bit relaxed there. You sat back. You're not finished yet. Not done.
I just sort of forgot where I was for a minute. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm on a radio show.
The only thing we're lacking is and I said this last time, because last week I had Kerry from KPA on, and she kept coughing, and I was just like, are you just trying to hint to me that you want a drink? I was like, I can't offer you a drink. It's like, what would be great, I said, is if we had like Costa Coffee or Starbucks or something like that come and deliver.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That would be, that'd be
good.
Sit here, it'd be perfect. I mean, I've brought my own. I did tell you to bring.
You did,
but you forgot. Like,
yeah,
it's fine. It's fine. So, what I wanted to just chat about right now is, obviously, we've talked about all sorts, about your talents and your style of music that you enjoy to listen to.
We haven't talked about your talents, actually.
We don't need to. It's my show.
Okay.
I talk about that on every show. I think every show that I do on here, I play my songs. I'm like, I'm going to play this because I can, and it's my show.
That's got to be gratifying to have your own radio show.
I kind of start with a Buckle and Boots, and sometimes I end on a Buckle and Boots.
Yeah,
and,
good.
Yeah, and sometimes I do like earlier on today, I did some country music, and what I did was new, old, new, old, and I kind of kept flitting in between the two.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Yeah. But yes, going back to you. How would people find you if they want to learn how to play the guitar or the violin? How can we find you on socials? Website?
I am in the habit of advertising on numerous Facebook groups on a Monday.
Okay, same.
So
love the spamming on that.
But I guess, String Junkie Music School on Facebook is probably the quickest and easiest way to find me, and you can message me there. And
you're on Instagram as well?
I'm on Instagram.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's as Matt Sofianos Guitar.
Okay. So you thought you'd complicate things for people when they want to find you?
Well, the good thing about having a name like Matt Sofianos is that I'm not to be confused with any other Matt Sofianos.
Yeah, it's a famous name. I feel like you should have been famous with it.
It's a unique name. So I guess, if you really want to get in touch with me, then just,
shout across the street.
Look for somebody called Matt Sofianos on Facebook, and it's going to be me. And
you have a website?
String Junkie Music School.
Yeah.
Which you built for me, thank you.
That's okay. I'm so talented. Okay, so that's fabulous. So, and if you missed all of that and you said, sorry, what was his name? Sophie what?
Yeah. I've heard that before. Not like I grew up with that kind of stuff at school.
Then you can also check my socials as well, because I shall be tagging him. We'll be getting a snappy snap picture in a minute. So make sure you dress up your hair. Don't embarrass me. And we'll get a lovely...
Is there a mirror in this room?
No, there isn't. There isn't. Don't worry about it. So I figured, because you played a Joni Mitchell one earlier, I really, really, really wanted to play a Joni Mitchell one too. I'm not sure which version. You asked me a question a second ago, whether it was early Joni Mitchell or late. I'm kind of hoping that it's late.
Yeah. Because the funny thing is that she wrote that when she was so young. It's a song that's written. It's like that song was waiting for her to get into her later years to sing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really prefer it when she sings it with a later voice.
Yeah.
I mean, that is what captured me. Was just like the pauses and the graveliness and imperfection of her singing. No, I love it.
But it's more convincing that way, because it's a wise old song. And it just strikes me as it's another way in which she's exceptional, that she could write that when she was still, a sort of a sun-kissed, sunshine, blonde Californian. Well, she's not a Californian; she's Canadian.
Okay, get that right.
Yeah. Otherwise, there's going to be trouble.
People will be confused.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No. Can I just say thank you, because it's like literally 2 minutes to. I cannot believe it.
Yep.
Can I just say a massive thank you for coming on the show tonight?
It's been a pleasure.
Did you enjoy it?
I did. I've enjoyed myself
and will you come back?
A bit. I will come back whenever you ask me to.
Excellent, yeah. And you didn't swear?
Yeah, but there's about 2 minutes left, so you better cut my mic.
I know, yeah. You didn't say...
no, I didn't,
okay,
did
cool.
I?
No, you didn't.
No.
Okay, so I am going to play Joni Mitchell right now. Thank you so much for listening. Oh, that's not what I was going to play. For some reason, my song just vanished. Oh, why? Right, we're going to have to talk for a little bit more, because I just literally had it.
Okay.
And then it vanished.
There
so I'm going to try that again.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
It's vanished again.
No,
Why will it not let me play it?
I don't know.
Aww.
Okay.
Okay, well, I definitely have it on the iPad. So never fear, it is here. Here we go. This is Joni Mitchell. And tune in next week, Wednesday, 7 till 10. I had to think.
Yeah.
I really had to think there. Oh, I actually thought of a name for my show.
Yes, you did. That's cool, yeah.
Buzz and Beats.
Yeah.
Buzz and Beats.
Buzz and Beats.
Like it. That'll be all over my socials at some point, so
Good.
look out for that. Here we go. Let's have some Joni Mitchell. Have a lovely week.